boys and girls of every age. Wouldn't you like to see something strange?
Hey guys, what's up? I know it's a little late. I missed my vlog and the Scary Stories episode last night since it's now like 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. So, I missed it, but I'll still do a vlog today at some point. I was hanging out with my parents all day yesterday, I guess. And yeah, tomorrow is the last day that my parents will be here, but they're only going to stay for half the day. Just going to have lunch and see them off. It'll still be pretty fun. After that, got some homework to work on. But tonight we're going to do a episode of Scary Stories. This one I pre-read. I found, I was reading a bunch before, and I liked this one a bit, because it's creepy, and it's one of the girl's worst, like, nightmare type of things. So, here we go, I guess. One cold winter night, a 16-year-old girl named Brittany Snow was home alone, watching TV. So scary. Her parents had gone out to a dinner party at a friend's house. It had been snowing heavily all afternoon, but Brittany felt nice and snug as she sat on the sofa in the lounge, tucked under a warm, fuzzy blanket. Her name is Brittany Snow, and it's snowing outside. I don't see how that matters at all, but it's an interesting fact, I guess. By midnight, Brittany's parents were not home. She began to feel uneasy. She didn't want to call them in case they thought she couldn't take care of herself. The television was in the corner of the room, right next to the big bay window. She was watching one of her favorite movies, a horror film named Prom Night, when suddenly, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed something moving in the bay window. Through the darkness and the falling snow, she could make out the figure of a man walking towards the window. As he got closer, she was able to make out his face. It filled her with horror. The man's face was hideously scarred. His eyes were wild and crazy, and he seemed to be grinning maliciously at her. Frightened, Brittany pulled the fuzzy blanket over her head and tried to hide. She hardly dared to move. Because if you can't see him, he can't see you, right? Yeah. Good thinking, Brittany. Slowly she pulled the blanket aside, just enough to peer out with one eye. The man was still there. He was just standing there, staring directly at her as the snow fell behind him. Then he reached into his coat, pulled something out. It was a long knife. Terrified, Brittany pulled the blanket back over her head, hoped that the man would think it was just a pile of blankets sitting on her sofa. She managed to move her hand slowly over to her pocket and took out her mobile phone. Pressing the buttons in a panic, she dialed 911 and held her breath as she waited for an answer. When the operator asked, "What's your emergency?" Brittany pulled the phone close to her face and whispered, "There's a man outside my window. He's got a knife. Please come quickly." She sat motionless under the blanket as the minutes ticked by. Eventually she heard sirens outside and the police started banging on her front door. Brittany pulled off the blanket and rushed to the front door, letting 2 police officers inside. They said they hadn't seen any trace of anyone outside her house. "He was right there," said Brittany, pointing out the bay window to her snow-covered front lawn. "That's not possible," said the female officer. "There couldn't have been anyone standing out there. The snow is left completely undisturbed, and if there's something out there, they would have left footprints. If there was someone out there, they would have left footprints." I cannot speak today, I'm sorry. Blech. "But he was standing right there, staring at me," said Brittany. "I saw him with my own 2 eyes. You know, your eyes can play tricks on you," said the male officer. "Maybe you've been watching too many scary movies." The officers turned to leave when all of a sudden, the female officer stopped dead in her tracks. She pulled back the sofa that Brittany had been sitting on. Her jaw dropped and eyes widened in shock. Brittany and the male police officer gasped. On the carpet behind the sofa was a trail of wet footprints and a discarded knife. "You weren't looking at the man outside the window," said the female officer. "You were looking at his reflection. He was standing right behind you, all along." Guess it was a good thing she covered up with those blankets, or else he would have found her. But yeah. I think that's pretty creepy. I think that's a lot of people's nightmares. it wasn't scary, I give it that, but it was pretty creepy, and I would not like that at all. Especially if someone came in my door right now and pulled out a knife and stood there and stared at me while I was making this video. Especially Kyver.
I was just thinking, like, when knives right over there.
That was a hint,
I don't
Kyver.
have a knife.
Pick up on my hints. You don't pick up on my hints.
Don't give me hints. I mean, Amazon gift list.
Alright, but that's today's scary story. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, I pre-read a few, and this is the one I chose for tonight. So, oh, another thing. I'm thinking about making, I'm actually going to start making a Cube World miniseries. If you don't know what Cube World is, you're in for a treat, because it's really fun. And Cube World, yeah, I know you think Minecraft, not the same thing at all. But you'll see, and it'll be really fun, and I hope you guys like it. So, I will catch you later. To all the ladies, gentlemen, and stalkers watching this video, peace off.